Hey everybody, welcome to the Productivity Machine. Now, before we go ahead and get started, I think it's a great idea for you to get a better understanding of who I am and how this course came to be. Now, I want to start things off by letting you know what my mission in life is, and that is to inspire others. Now, that's me over there as a 5-year-old in kindergarten missing my 2 front teeth. Now, I remember when I was younger, I used to be so afraid of what people thought of me that I would literally just never say anything, because if I never said anything, then nobody would have an opinion about me, right? And the challenge I had with this was that I wasn't able to really effectively communicate with other people, frankly. And this really led to a life of loneliness and depression. And really, my life was just not that great. But fortunately, as I got a little older, there are people who came into my life and they inspired me to be more okay with who I was and to be more comfortable in my skin and express that to other people. And since then, my life became infinitely more happier because now I'm able to just be the person that I want to be. The reason why my mission in life is to inspire others is because I want to give back and do the same as what other people did for me. And, obviously that's the reason why I created this course, to inspire you guys to do whatever it is that you want to do. And for the sake of this lesson, that is learning to be more productive in your everyday life so you can do whatever it is that you want to do. So now that you have a better understanding of who I am, I want to start off with a little story of how I got to creating this course in the first place. Now, back before I started my own company, I used to live a totally different life where I was a salesperson in San Francisco. Now, I wasn't just any old salesperson. I was a very successful salesperson selling technology. And, I had a really nice apartment in the middle of the city. I was making a good amount of money and, I could help support my parents, and life seemed like it was great. Now, the challenge though, even though everything looked good on paper, I was literally just depressed because I felt really trapped in the city, and I honestly didn't want to be a salesperson anymore. Now, instead of following the stable career path that I have created for myself, I decided to call it quits and to follow my dreams. And I wanted to start my own business because I was tired of working for somebody else, and now it was just the time to do me. So I didn't really know what I was doing, but I knew that I wanted to travel outside of the United States, which is where I was born and raised. And so what I did was I gave a third of my savings to my parents, and I took the other 2/3 and decided to follow my dreams. And I didn't really know what country to go to, so I asked one of my close friends, Jan, who was actually teaching English in Thailand at the time. And I asked Jan, like, hey, I'm about to travel the world, about to start my own company. Where do you think I should go? And Jan, who was actually, again, living in Thailand, he said, you should actually just come to Thailand and hang out with me and start your company here. And so I did a little research on Thailand, and I learned that it was a great place to start a company. And there were actually a lot of other people similar to me who moved to Thailand or relocated there to get things going. And so on a whim, I just bought a one-way ticket to Thailand. And so when I got to Thailand, obviously I want to get to work. And so what I would do is every day I would wake up from my apartment, and I would wake up at 10 a.m. And, obviously when you're on your own schedule for the first time, things aren't very structured. So I would wake up at 10 a.m. and then I would drive through the Thailand traffic, which is not necessarily the best. And I had a little motorbike and, scootering around. And I would go to one of my favorite coffee shops, Ristretto Lab. I would come here, get a nice piccolo latte, and I write in my notebook and have a little coffee. I would be leaving the coffee shop around 11:30 a.m. And so after that, I would drive my little motorbike and I would go to this place called Pun Space, which was a co-working space, and would start working at 12 p.m. And you might be thinking, 12 p.m., that's a little late to be starting work, and you're absolutely right. It was a little late to be starting. And so I would work from 12 p.m. all the way to 6 p.m., and then I would drive home and go back to my apartment. And so effectively, I was only really getting 6 hours of work done, but not really, because obviously you got to eat lunch and take breaks. So I had a 6-hour work day, but how many hours am I actually working? Probably not that much. So I had a really big problem on my hands because I was living off of my savings, and this was from the sales commissions that I made as a salesperson, and I was running out of time, and I needed a way to get my business off the ground and start making money. And so the question I asked myself is, how can I become more productive? Because working a 6-hour day is just not really cutting it, and during those hours I wasn't even effective. And so rather than just trying to dive straight into my business and grind it out, I took the strategy of learning from the success of others. So I would be reading all these books like Deep Work, the 80/20 principle, smart cuts, and 4-hour work week, just to name a few. There are quite a bit more. And I was just trying to learn, what do the top performers do to become more productive in their everyday lives? Because for the first time, I was on my own schedule and I was really honestly struggling, and I needed to learn how other people did this. So there are a couple key principles that was really instrumental in the next following months. And so one of the most important things I learned was the concept of the one thing, and that is to focus on one thing at a time, because a lot of times we may feel like we have a lot of priorities and we're really busy, but in actuality, there's usually just one thing that you can do that can really move the needle in your life. And so what I started to do was I started to time block my calendar. As you can see here, this is, from Google Calendar. I would basically start my day at 9 a.m. and I would time block the first 4 hours to do literally just one thing. And that was a game changer, because I realized that if you focus on the most important thing first and actually get it done, it's going to move the needle on whatever you're trying to accomplish. And then I would leave 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. to do everything else, all the things that occupy that busy time. I would have time for it, but I always made sure that I had time for my one thing. The next concept that was really crucial for my success was the domino effect. And that is having a big picture idea of what exactly you want to accomplish, and that essentially is your one thing, and breaking it down and getting really granular and small and focusing on that one thing at a time on a day-by-day basis. And so what's very interesting about dominoes is that when one domino gets knocked over and knocks over another, it actually can knock over a domino that's 1 point times as bigger and heavier. And that domino can knock over a heavier domino and a heavier one and a heavier one. And eventually you knock over the large domino, which is your big picture one thing. So what the main takeaway I got from the domino effect is that when you have a big picture of what you want to do, you can start small and knock over one domino at a time until you actually get there. And another thing that I really took away from those books was that it's very important to study the success of others, because obviously you can't do everything by yourself, and sometimes you just need a little help. And so I took a lot of inspiration from Steve Jobs, Kanye West, and Gary Vaynerchuk. These are just a couple of my inspirations. And, there's so many more people like Lewis Howes, A$AP Rocky, Tim Ferriss, Tai Lopez even, and Seth Godin. And so I started studying other people and started breaking down how exactly they became successful, and took those lessons and implemented them into my life. And so since then, after reading all these books and trying all these strategies and techniques myself, what I've been able to do is I've been able to build a thriving consulting and e-learning company where I'm able to inspire thousands of people across the globe to make a living doing what they love. And I absolutely designed my own company and designed my own dream job. And I also have the flexibility to travel anywhere around the world while working. Again, this is all by design. And, I could be living in Vietnam or Thailand. It doesn't really matter, because as long as I have a computer and internet, I am good to go. And finally, I have the freedom to live however I want to live. And this is where I really took my life to the next level, because I can literally do anything that I want to do in life, whether it's to make a lot of money, travel around the world, have all the freedom I want. I literally designed my life in this way by being productive. And it all starts with a mindset of believing in yourself and believing that you can actually do whatever it is that you want to do, and then finding the techniques and strategies that you can use to execute and make them a reality. And so for the purpose of this course, I've broken down the productivity machine into 3 core concepts that's going to take you to the next level so that you can accomplish anything that you want to accomplish as well. The first one that we talked about was the one thing, which is to focus on one thing at a time and making sure that priority gets done. Next thing we're going to cover is the domino effect, meaning how do you dream big and understand what your goals are and knock over one domino at a time until you actually get there. And finally, I'm going to show you how you can study the success of others, because the truth is nobody is successful on their own and nobody fails alone. And that's why it's so important to learn from the success of others so you can take their frameworks and apply them to your life. And so with that, these are the main principles of the productivity machine that we're going to cover throughout this entire course. And again, the purpose of this course is to help you guys do whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's something in your personal life or your professional career. I just want to give you the tools and the confidence so that you can dream big, be crystal clear on your goals, and have an action plan so that you can actually execute on them. Now, if everything sounds good to you so far, I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.